everyone, it's Jessica. Thank you so much for being here with me today. So today I'm going to be creating a one-page scrapbooking layout, and I have this brand new paper pack and sticker sheet that I've just been dying to get into. This is the Skylark collection from Close to My Heart. It is a special that is running through January 31st, and I've got the papers flipped over so that you can see both sides of the pattern paper. Just some really pretty colors and designs here, and I like how some of the papers even have a pre-printed design as part of them. You know, of course, you could strategically cut the papers if you didn't want that pre-printed part in your project, but just really pretty colors and patterns, and I love the whimsical feel of this collection, especially this piece of paper here. I think it would be pretty if you put like one photo right there and kind of really let the rest of the paper shine, but that's not what I'm going to do today, but I am going to be using these papers. And I was inspired by a couple of the stickers on this sticker sheet. So I actually have pictures of my daughter from softball this past spring, her team photo, and then, you know, the photo of her. There's a lot of green in the pictures, and then I thought some of those stickers would work really well to go along with what was happening in softball this year. I'm also going to use the January stamp of the month, which is called Looking Forward, and I think that even though it's like a New Year's kind of theme stamp, I think it's going to work really well for my layout today. Now, normally I do love to create from patterns or from looking at something that has inspired me on Pinterest, but today I am just kind of working out of my head because I'm really limited by the photo sizes that I've got here, and so I knew that it would probably make the most sense just to put them next to each other since they're the same height, and then kind of build my layout from there. So I'm going to use this zip strips here. I like how it brings in all sorts of different colors that I can work off of in my layout. And then that Lagoon piece of pattern paper is cut to 6 inches. And then I've got a couple of strips of cardstock that are 1/8 of an inch each. And then I have used that stamp set to cut out that thin cut there with that scallop circle. And then also I made that little journaling spot from the stamp set. And then I think I might bring in a few other ones. At this point, I'm not entirely sure, but I do really like all of the shapes and the sentiments that are on the stamp set. So I'm going to kind of begin there and start prepping all of my pieces. So I did edge to stress some of my papers with my Lagoon ink just by swiping it across the side there. And then while I had my Lagoon ink out, I thought, you know what, I think I'm going to do a little something to that scallop circle because it was really bright white and I just wanted to tone it down a little bit. So I grabbed a blending brush and then just put a little wash of Lagoon colored ink into the center of it. I'm thinking I'm going to tuck it behind all my papers up here, and then I think this would also be a fun layout to do some splatters on. So I'm going to grab my Lagoon colored shimmer brush and then also my white gloss spray from Dina Wakley and just kind of splatter it across both ways. Now, before I got going any further, I did happen to notice that up close there is some like really subtle text that is printed into that green colored pattern paper that I hadn't noticed at first, and it was really pretty, but I just wanted to take a second and show that to you before I started covering things up. So this is my general idea. I'm going to go ahead and stick that circle down there. That way I can layer the other papers over the top of it. And then once I did that, I also thought, you know what, it's still not really standing out to me. What if I stitch a little circle on the inside part of that thin cut? So I'm going to grab my circles here so I can use this one as a guide for sizing. And then I'm going to hold it in place and then draw a pencil mark for myself of the circle for the inside of that scalloped circle. This is something I really like to do, is use my thin cut shapes, especially the circles, as a guide for poking some stitching holes. So I'll just put a little foam mat underneath my paper there, grab my piercing tool, and then poke a couple of holes around. And off camera, I did a chain link stitch in a limeade colored embroidery thread just to kind of help that circle stand out a little more. Now, of course, I wasn't really thinking, and my thread definitely did create a little bit of a bump behind those papers that I'm gluing down. But what I did here, you can see I'm just putting a little thin line of liquid glue for those 1/8 of an inch cardstock strips. I just made sure to really kind of hold it down while that glue was drying. And you can see a little bit of a bump, but it didn't really it definitely went down over that embroidery thread just fine. So I just kind of held it there for a second to really make sure that it was going to adhere. And I think that won't be too terribly noticeable with that thread behind there. Okay, now that I've got all of my paper parts put together, I'm going to do the splattering. So I've just pulled in my little empty splatter box that I like to prevent from making big messes on my desk. And then I'll take my shimmer brush here. This is a lagoon color. And I just tap against it with something. I grab something, and then same with my gloss spray. I don't usually spray it. I usually just like to kind of tap it and make some splatters. And this adds a really fun like subtle background look to the paper. Okay, while that dries, the gloss spray dries pretty quickly, but the shimmer brush does take a little bit longer. While that dries, I'm going to pull off the stickers that I think I might want from the sticker sheet, and I'm going to put a little bit of powder on the back of them just to remove the adhesive, and that way I can play around with the placement of them. I'm pulling in a couple of markers because I do want to color in my cute little softball with a heart here. This is from a stamp set that I had in my stash. And since the softball is white, I did want to put just a little bit of shading on it so it wasn't so plain looking. And I am using the lightest shade of the ice gray marker. And then I'm coming in with a colorless blending marker just to kind of soften that out. And it just adds a nice little shadow. So that way, again, it's not just like a stark white. And then I will go ahead and color in the heart with the turquoise blue color, I want to say, from the tri-blend markers. And just kind of do that real quick. And then my softball is ready to use as an embellishment. Isn't that fun? Okay, so we can go ahead and start putting the things on here. I'm thinking I want to layer that journaling spot over the corner of the photo and then just kind of build up an embellishment cluster down there. I want to put this sticker up here as my title. I thought that this paper pack and stamp set would work really well for this set of photos that I have here, because this spring in softball, it was the year where we moved from the coach pitching to the girls pitching themselves during the game. Now, if you have a kid who has played softball or baseball, you know that can be a little bit of an awkward transition because, they haven't really figured it out yet. And it definitely is a learning curve trying to figure out how to throw the ball to the batter. And it just makes for a very slow game. So it was just kind of I was inspired by the stickers and the stamp set just to kind of talk about how this is a new beginning for them at this point in the game, and just to kind of not give up and to keep working on it. So that was what inspired me to pull all of these different pieces together. So I'm just kind of playing around with some of the embellishments here. I went back to that stamp and thin cut set and cut out a few of those little banners from the lagoon colored cardstock. I did one in the lighter side and one in the darker side just to layer up that sticker. And then I'm just adding things, some with a little bit of foam tape, some directly to the page, and just kind of creating my 3 points of the visual triangle. So that one sticker I did cut in half so that I could get twice the use out of it. And I cut my own little pennant banner into the other end. So that way I can kind of tuck it up like this. And then like I said, I'm going to let this sticker here be my title. And then down here, I did find another sticker, just that circle piece that has that flower on it. I thought that kind of helped to round out that embellishment cluster. And then I'm going to do a combination here of straight to the page, some thin 3D foam tape, and then some regular foam tape, just to have some varying dimensions as I am layering these pieces up. That's something that I like to do when I create my embellishment clusters, is just to try to vary the height that everything is at. And I think that makes it a little bit more interesting to look at. So I'll get that all figured out here. And then I felt like that top little spot there just still needed a little something extra. So I grabbed a white gel pen and I'm doing some faux stitching lines across all 3 pieces there. That way it looks like one cohesive unit and not just 2 pieces of cardstock and a sticker over the top of them. All right, I want my heart to sparkle a little bit, and I'm pulling out my stickles in some colors that I think are similar to the lagoon color. I'm just going to try to decide which one I think is going to work the best. I'm going to go with, I think I'm going to go with this one here. And I'm just going to kind of paint it on a little bit so that way it's not quite so thick, but it definitely adds some sparkle. So I'll put a little bit of it onto my acrylic block, and then I'm going to grab a paintbrush and then just paint it on. And like I said, that way it's not too terribly thick, but there is definitely some glitter over the top of that heart. And that's a lot of fun. So I just need to remember to let that dry before I go to do my journaling so I don't stick my hand in it. And then I'm almost done at this point. I'm going to show you here how cute that heart turned out. I think I need to add a few gems. So I went digging through my stash and I actually found these glitter gems in the Journey color, which is not a color that is anywhere on my layout, but it is kind of a darker shade of the Lagoon, which I did use. And so I thought that it worked out just fine. So I'm going to scatter a few of those glitter gems around and about in each of my 3 points, and then I'm going to call it done. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday and that you are going to have a great start to the new year. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below. I will leave links in the description box to all of the products that are available, and that January stamp of the month is going to be available starting on January 1st. And again, that Skylark paper and sticker collection is only through January 31st, so be sure to check that out. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you're having a great one. Happy crafting. See you next time. Bye.